What is up, you beauties? My name is BatchatBegins, and today we're going to be talking about the AE Phase 1 nerfs and whether or not it is worth it compared to the M103 that is in the tech tree. We're going to take a look at some of the armor. Now, the AE Phase 1 does have very solid hull and turret armor, but its lower plate, as you'll see here in just a second, is a bit weaker. Now, it does do very well hull down. You'll be able to see that it hides that Q-pillar very, very well compared to the M103, which does have those significant weak spots on the turret and on the hull as well, as you can see when we go hull down here in just a brief second. And that is kind of the thing about the AE Phase 1 is it does have 10 degrees of gun depression, whereas the M103 does not. So, taking a look at the armor, that is what we've got going on between the two of them, and we're going to go ahead and hop into the replay for today. So now getting into the AE Phase 1, now obviously there are a lot of stats to go over. The first most obvious thing is I will be comparing the AE to the M103. Now, the AE Phase 1 did get a nerf in testing during patch 7.9, so it is a little bit worse on the gun than the M103 is. They obviously carry that same standard 120 mil. The M103 has just a little bit more DPM at 2544, and the AE has 2478, so not a ton of a difference, barely 100 difference there. It has a little bit worse of a gun when it comes to penetration. It has 250 on standard and 330 on heat, whereas the M103 has 258 standard and 340 on heat. Now, just taking a look at the rate of fire, you got 6.19 for the AE and 6.36 for the M103, and just a little bit better of a reload, basically, for the M103. Now, the aim time is a lot better for the M103. It's 2.08 seconds, whereas the aim time for the AE is 2.35. The AE had a significant dispersion nerf. The M103 has 0.335, which is not too bad. Pretty normal heavy tank dispersion. And the AE Phase 1 now has 0.353, which is worse. It is definitely worse. But overall, it's not the worst thing ever. The AE does get a significant advantage over the M103, however, and that is that it has 10 degrees of gun depression. It also has 5 degrees better gun elevation, coming in at 20, with the M103 having 15. So overall, that's great. The speed on the AE is actually a lot better. It goes 40 kilometers forward and 20 backward, meaning it's going to be a bit more mobile, which is great. The M103 only goes 34 forwards and 12 backwards, which, you can definitely tell that it's a bit sluggish sometimes. The M103 and the E5 have that in common. The power to weight ratio is pretty much the same on both tanks, and their effective horsepower to ton ratio on different surfaces is about the same. Now, the AE has much better camo, which is really strange. The M103 has 8% camo while staying still, and the AE has 20%, which is crazy. And when it's moving, it has 15%, where the M103 only has 4%. So, definitely significantly better for some odd reason, even though this is a heavy tank. So overall, the tanks are very similar. It's a little bit worse in the gun department, but you've seen the armor, so it has its trade-offs. It can go hull down very, very nicely with that 10 degrees of gun depression. So overall, it's going to be a bit strange of a tank. We're not exactly sure how it's going to stack up yet, but as you know me, I like my E5, I like my M103, I like my tanks with gun depression, hull down tanks. Those have always been my favorite. And this just seems like it's going to be a more mobile and effective heavium for all intents and purposes. The M103 can't be as heavium as the E5, but certainly the AE Phase 1 should be able to do that. Now, they have not confirmed whether or not the AE is going to get the super speed boost yet. If it does, it'll be absolutely busted, but if not, I can understand why. It's kind of like the Emil 1 and the 1951. The Emil 1 gets the super speed, the 1951 doesn't because it's a bit faster. So I could see that being the case for this tank. If that does end up being the case, maybe you run 2 repair kits and adrenaline. Or if it does end up being the case, you run 1 repair kit, 1 large repair kit, adrenaline, and the super speed boost. Either way, there are going to be some options for you. As you can see, the gun for the M103 is very, very solid and reliable, and if the AE comes into the game as it is right now in testing, I think it'll be very, very well balanced and definitely worth it to pick up, because a tank like this that's just this versatile will be very, very nice. I probably haven't mentioned it yet, but I'll go ahead and mention it since some people still think that I'm, revealing testing tanks. This is only a skin. This is the skin for the AE Phase 1 on an M103. And when we are in the training room, that is the same case. It's just a skin. So I do not own any of the testing tanks, and all the information I'm getting is from extraneous websites like Tank Compare and Blitzhanger. So if you guys want to check that out, I will go ahead and leave those sites in the comment. Well, not in the comments, but in the description of the video. So you can go ahead and check them out for yourselves. Anyway, just getting into the actual replay that we're watching here. This is actually a replay from a while ago, back in January. And this M103 game is absolutely fantastic so far. He's got a full health waffle to deal with and a Chimera, as well as that STA-1. Now, obviously, you want to try and focus out the lowest health tanks to go ahead and give yourself some leeway. And it looks like the waffle has gone ahead and lagged out, which is very, very fortunate for our M103 driver here. It's going to go ahead and put in some HE shells. And as you can see, this was before the patch that gave the waffle and the grill and the borsig that spall liner. So he is getting that full HE damage there on the waffle, which is very, very nice to see. Spall liner is almost a must run for tanks like that, because you can see just how fast your tank gets obliterated there. So one thing I will say in the end is, if you guys are not very partial to tanks with kind of weaker hull armor, and you like your tanks like your IS series tanks, like your IS-6, your IS-3, IS-4, stuff like that, you may not want to splurge for this, because this is not, for all intents and purposes, a frontline heavy tank. This is a hold the line kind of brawling heavy tank, and that's always what the Americans have kind of been. They've been able to, you know, take and give shots, but they're not really sort of that immediate frontline thing. Like, you wouldn't take an E5 frontline on something like Oasis Palms. That would be too reckless. You might get pinned a whole lot and not be able to go ahead and deal much in return. But it's definitely really good at holding ridge lines and being able to, like, brawl enemy tanks. That's what this thing is really great at. And it's kind of the same story for, you know, the American mediums, like the M48 Patton. That's always been sort of the deal. So this tank will excel in those situations, like he finds himself in here, where he's fighting an STA-1 while he's hull down. You get to hide the weak points, like the hull and the side armor, and you get to use the really strong turrets that the Americans are known for. He gets a really solid bounce off the STA-1, and now the STA is a one-shot for him. And this looks like this game is all but wrapped up at this point. He's done a fantastic nearly 8k damage. Will he seal it off? It looks like he does. 7,985 damage in the M103. Will we be seeing a game like that in the AE Phase 1? I certainly hope so. If we do, I will definitely share it with you guys. That's 7,900 damage, almost 8k. Mastery Badge, Top Gun, High Caliber, and a Radley Walters medal, along with a Steel Wall medal. Very, very solid game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you're looking forward to the AE Phase 1. I certainly am. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. My name has been BatchatBegins. All relevant links will be in the description, and I will see you guys in the next one.